Previously on the Dirty Chain podcast.
I mean, last year we had 3,200 signed up. So for 2020, I mean, we sold out in 6 minutes. There were 5,000 people on Bike Reg. Bike Reg told us at the time that we opened Reg, and they were like, man, you guys are, one of the fastest selling out events we've ever had. And it blew our minds. We were basically biting off, I think, more than we could chew. So when the pandemic hit, we were like, okay, 1,400 people actually showed up for 2020. And we were like, all right, for registration for 2021, we know that the pandemic's going to be it's going to affect us, whether or not things are okay to be completely normal and open and racing and like no wave starts and all these other things. We thought, hey, let's dial it back. Like, let's only let in about 2,000, and also just be aware that we're probably going to have to pivot. It's a constant battle, and it's a daily struggle to keep waking up and realize, man, for the first time in 8 years, we won't be gathering at the shop, in front of the shop, and we won't be allowing, maybe a few thousand people the very first opportunity to see these dirt roads that I think are unreal.
But I'm a Mid-South virgin, but thanks to Randy the randomizer, I am scheduled to do the 2021 version, and now 2022. It looks like I have a spot for 2022 as well.
You do. We decided, we really felt, and Sally really was like, no, like there's no question. This is how we need to do it. So yeah, everybody that's signed up, the almost 2,200, they're going to have, basically a pre-reg. So we'll send out a passcode, get in, put your name in. It's guaranteed.
Amazing.
Make it happen.
From KOM Cycling and Michigan Midpack Media, welcome to the Dirty Chain podcast, the podcast that covers the cycling scene from the viewpoint of the Michigan Midpack. I am your host, Trevor, and on this episode, Mid-South Gravel. I'm still coming off the high of an incredible weekend in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Just now, you heard the voice of Mr. Mid-South himself, Bobby Wintle, who in 2021 joined us on the podcast, and I just thought his words from last year were perfect to put some context into why this race was not only important to him, but to every single participant, volunteer, and spectator this year. 2 long years of waiting and anticipation. Again, the weekend was unforgettable. I highly recommend it. And during a recovery party post-race, I sat down with a few familiar voices to the podcast to hear about their experience and kind of share our experience together. Mid-South double finisher Mark Bryson, 5th place finisher Paige Peters, and my brother Brady Gibney. But before we hear from them, I'd like to first hear from someone who I think it's fair to say was one of the main reasons I even considered signing up for Mid-South. This person attended the 2019 version when it was still called Land Run and came back with such a positive review and motivation for the season that I knew I had to experience it for myself. My old friend, Mr. Sheldon Little. Sheldon, how the hell are you?
I'm damn near in tears right now.
It's so good.
It's just some dust from a gravel road. Don't worry.
I'm not crying. It's just gravel in my eyes. Sheldon, it is great to hear your voice, to see you on Zoom. It's been a long time since we've caught up, since since the listeners have heard from you. Yeah, man, how have you been?
I've been good. So actually, probably after the last time you heard from me, I got really, really, really sick with stomach ulcers. I lost 30 pounds in 30 days. And I was down for the count for quite a while. Finally got it under control and then started a new career and now here I am finally back at the mid pack.
Back in the mid pack.
Except I need to put some fresh sealant in some tires. They're a little dry right now.
It's always good. So I think it was a couple days ago, I sent you a text and I said, Sheldon, I got that Bobby hug. And almost immediately the phone rang and it was you on the other end and you wanted to hear about my Mid-South experience. And for those that don't know, Bobby Wintle, he's famous for giving almost everyone that finishes the race, who wants one, I guess, a hug at the end. And I just knew that from your experience, that was one of the things that you said was unforgettable. And I knew I needed to get a Bobby hug eventually. And man, I got that Bobby hug.
And it's impossible to ever forget. I mean, it's been years now, and I still cherish that Bobby hug.
Man, I it's interesting to go into a situation with high expectations, and it's never that's probably never the best way to go into a situation, because more often than not you can be disappointed. But I have to say, I went into Mid-South with some pretty high expectations, not only hearing from you but from so many people about what the race, the course and the atmosphere, but I was not let down at all. I'm curious, when you went in 2019, where did you, land run at the time, but I guess it had already kind of been a popular race and kind of gained some notoriety. But where did you first hear about the race, and what made you you were kind of transitioning from being a crit racer to a gravel racer, and you just went all in and said, I'm driving down to Stillwater at the beginning of the season, and I'm going full gravel this year.
It was not even a month after I got my first gravel bike. So my first gravel bike was that Cat X, the purple one.
And that was your first gravel race?
And it was my first gravel race on that bike. That bike was brand new going into the race. And when I was transitioning from road to gravel, I was doing mostly gravel on a road bike with just some I don't know, I think they were 28 Gravel Kings that, they were still basically road tires for the most part. And
you're riding basically on your Roubaix, right? Your
specialized Roubaix. My Roubaix, and this was back before they had disc brakes, so it's the true Canties and all, or not even Canties, they're just side poles. But no, I actually found out about Land Run on a mountain bike podcast that I don't even believe is still around anymore.
Okay.
And they had Bobby on just because one of the hosts had gone and done a little bit of gravel and gotten into it, and they talked to Bobby. And this was the first I'd even ever heard of the race. It never saw the name pop up anywhere, and so I started looking into it, and I was like, holy crap, this looks absolutely rad. Started reading other people's reviews that had gone there, and everybody that said it, first time going there was basically changed their view of the sport. So I was like, oh, hell yeah. So I ordered a gravel bike just to get into gravel riding, just to go to Land Run.
Oh yeah.
It was I've watched quite a few of Bobby's speeches on YouTube and such, but man, until you have a pre-ride meeting from Bobby Wintle in person, I mean, there's nothing like it.
His energy is infectious and seemingly unending, or it's just where he pulls that from. It's a real mystery to me, but it's there. And I kind of talk about this a little later, but it's real, he's not manufacturing something to create fake stoke. It comes from his heart, and it's real. And so it kind of all comes down back to Bobby. That's how you heard about about Land Run, now Mid-South, and then you came back and shared that stoke with others, including myself. And then that's in turn, I was like, man, I don't know if I can justify driving 14 hours for a gravel race. And, but after after like doing a little more research and looking into it and all this, and then I knew I had to be a part of it. I knew I had to be a part of it. I think our course conditions were pretty similar.
Yeah, kind of that light dusty, but when you got by kind of like some of the creeks and stuff, it was a little wet, but overall it was pretty dry.
I say we had a little bit of mud and a little bit of like rough road, enough to make you know that you were in a Mid-South course, on a Mid-South course. But overall it was fast and dusty and cold morning, but bright sunny day. And that's kind of how I remember seeing pictures of your experience. I do remember one, I almost think that your experience, it predates the podcast too. So I don't know if we've ever like really talked much about your race, but I remember you came back and you had a pretty decent crash. Do you just want to tell us about your crash?
Yeah, I was working with a group with another guy from Michigan, and there's probably about 30 of us working together. And we were moving pretty good. I think we're cruising around, at 21 average, and we went through the feed zone at mile 50, and our group kind of broke apart a little bit, but most of the guys did swap bottles and such. So, did a quick bottle swap and threw some goo in my bag or in my pocket, and off we went. And we all kind of started regrouping together, and I had taken my third bottle out of the back of my jersey because I had barely touched my first two. So I was like, screw it, I'm just going with 2 bottles. We'll be fine. We only have 50 miles to go. So at mile 64, we're going down this hill into this this Jeep track, basically, with like 2-foot ruts on either side from tires of like boggers going through. And a guy in front of me locks up hard, fishtails a bit. I go into the back of him. The guy behind me goes in the back of me, and I don't know, I want to say maybe between 5 and 7 of us ended up going down. And I went off into the ditch, got up. My handlebars are cranked to one side.
brand new bike, mind you.
Brand new. Oh, there's some good scratches still on her. But so my handlebars are all janked over. So I'm sitting there with my wheel between my legs, getting my handlebars straight. Hop on, try to start pedaling, and my just zero shifting whatsoever. I've got maybe 2 gears. So I hop off, and I did the good old hand bend on the hanger to get it as straight as possible. Yeah. Hopped on. It was like, all right, the group's maybe, 2 minutes ahead of me. I was like, it's going to suck, but it'll be a chase. So I put my head down and just started basically time trialing it. And I went to go grab a water bottle, and both my brand new bottles were gone, and I had nothing. And all of a sudden, that was like panic mode. Like all of a sudden, sat up and was just like, all right, now I went from wanting to chase to a group so I could keep going fast to I have to finish this freaking race.
Was this? I think you were telling me this. Was this when you realized that maybe a hydration pack was a good idea?
So the beginning of the race, I remember standing there, waiting for the gun or the cannon to go. I'm like, man, so many people have hydration packs. I'm like, this is a 100-mile race. Like 3 bottles, we'll be good. And I remember when we hit the first patch of gravel coming out of town, you're like going into this little bit of a downhill, and there's this rough gravel that everyone goes through, and you hit that, and there are just there's just bottles everywhere.
Yeah, bottle carnage. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're just I remember going through that, coming up, and I was just like, I reached down, pinched my bottle cages because I on my gravel bikes I usually run aluminum just so you can actually scrunch them down, and so I pinched them, went through the gravel, they stayed on, and I thought it was good for the rest of the day. But yeah, no, I've got 2 bottles sitting at mile 64 somewhere in Stillwater, Oklahoma.
I think I failed to mention this on the next conversation that's coming up, but I took a whiskey hand up at mile 90.
Yes.
Did you do anything similar?
Yeah, so I got a whiskey shot from the guys over at Salsa when they used to do the chase, and I got there and I was like, "Does anybody have a bottle of water?" And they all said no. And the guy's like, "Well, we have some whiskey," and he gave me a shot of whiskey. I did my picture on the couch, and then took off. So yeah, from mile 64 to basically 100, I had like a whiskey shot, and then I had like maybe a mouthful of water from like the aid station at 75.
Okay. There were a few aid stations kind of scattered throughout, but if you didn't have bottles, I mean, you didn't have anything to put them in. So,
I felt like I was like back in the marathon days, like grabbing the cup and like splash it in my mouth and throw it to the side and keep going.
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a split-second decision for me. Right around mile 90.
Wait. By split second, when have you ever turned down a whiskey shot?
I think that might be one of the first. I'll take this back. When I just did Polar Roll, I drank I had some, what was it? Fireball, which of course, like naturally, you have to drink Fireball like in the middle of the cold winter. But I don't even know what this was. But it was, mile 90, kind of coming up a hill and wind in our face for like the last, 30, 40 miles. It was brutal. And I was going slow, and it was a Orange Seal had a tent, or not a tent, but an aid station. An aid station that was just whiskey, I think. But I was like, you know what? Why the hell not? I'm going to take this shot. And then we immediately took a left, and the wind was at our back. And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I took a shot, and now like the wind's at my back. I'm going to finish this thing. It was good stuff. So you finished, you got your Bobby hug.
I had so much trouble unbuckling my, or just unclipping from my pedals when I went through the finish line, because I was just cramping so bad from lack of hydration. It hurt so much.
Oh my God.
I drank an entire like bottle of pickled juice I got from a gas station, like so like you finish downtown, and if you go left, there's a gas station up there. And I hobbled over there, and the first thing I bought was pickled juice to try to get rid of the cramps.
Oh man. So the atmosphere, I think we talk about it a lot, but it was just, I think that is what so many people refer to. I mean, of course it's Bobby's enthusiasm but also it's the atmosphere of Stillwater and all the people there cheering you on. And did you hang out there a bit? Did you cheer on others?
Oh yeah, I definitely had to have some the IPA from what's it called again?
Oh man, why can't I think of it? All I want to say is,
did you bring any home?
No, I drank it all. I literally drank it all. I feel like the next day I was like, what? Iron Monk? Is that what it is? Iron Monk?
Yeah, Iron Monk. That's it.
Yeah. Iron Monk.
Their IPA. So I sat around downtown. Did they have the food trucks this year?
There were a few food trucks, and I destroyed a pizza like right at the end. It was amazing.
Yeah, for me it was tacos and IPA. Got some street tacos. I remember just sitting on the curb and just wolfing them down, and had an IPA that still had the aftertaste of pickle juice. And but it's such an amazing event. I feel like Mid-South is what so many races strive to be, and a lot of them put out on their social media, but like Mid-South's it. Like you go there and it feels different.
Yeah. And there are a lot of in the spectrum of gravel races now, especially now. I think you have everything from super grassroots to large, almost corporate gravel races. And I want to be positive about it and think that there's a place for all of it. And Mid-South kind of is this oddball now. When it seems like as these bigger races are growing, they're becoming more corporate. And now Mid-South feels like this large gravel race that still holds on to its real grassroots roots. And that is kind of how it felt. And that excitement for that was obvious for everyone that was there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing I love about them is they still run their registration like a classic race, you know, essentially sorry about that. I'm making baked spaghetti. 1 second. Yeah. Earlier I'm putting up shelves in the laundry room and now I'm making baked spaghetti.
It's all good. You're just like, Mr. Domestic.
Yeah, you're like, who is this guy? Yeah. What the hell has the West Coast done to Sheldon? Trevor's packing his bag. He's coming to steal me back. He's like, this is too much.
I want bad decisions. What happened to you? Yeah. So I mean, yeah, Sheldon. I wanted to talk to you and like just tell you about my experience, but also thank you for getting me stoked on it early. And I attribute the fact that I even lined up there was because of your experience, and then that made me excited and got me there. So thank you for that. Let's be sure and make this more of a regular thing. And I want to hear more about some of your adventures out there on the West Coast. But at this point, I'm going to jump to the conversation I had post-race with Mark and with Paige and with Brady. And you will like this, Sheldon. You'll laugh at me because I got there. I brought all of my podcast equipment, microphones, the recorder, like an extension cord, all this stuff. And I plug it all in, and I realize I didn't have an SD card. So I apologize to the listeners that the next conversation we'll hear is from, it was recorded on my iPhone. But hey, I actually think the iPhone did a pretty damn good job of catching the conversation. So
way to improvise.
Yeah. I mean, it's not up to the standards that the listeners demand from the Dirty Chain podcast, but hey, what can I say? I was hungover from the day before. So, but again, Sheldon, great to talk to you, man.
Hey, great to be back. Hopefully pretty soon I'm going to be trying to get back on the bike a bit, and hopefully I can be calling on you with some Strava stories.
Yeah, let's hear it. Some more bad decisions. Can't wait. Thanks, Sheldon.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
Okay, so like after multiple failed attempts to get this started and some technical difficulties, those difficulties being myself forgetting some very important equipment, we are here one day post Mid-South, and I'm with a few familiar voices to the podcast. I'll just pass the phone around and maybe we'll just say your name. So
Mark Bryson.
Brady Gibney.
Paige Peters.
And Rachel Gibney's over there, just smiling and waving.
I'd also like to add that you are 1 year and 1 day past what was supposed to be your Mid-South inauguration. All
right, brother, let me get to this stuff. I'm the host of this podcast.
I'm older than you.
I guess like that's a good place to start. Yes, this is a year in the making for a couple of us. Mm-hmm. For Mark, I know you signed up in 2021, and I did as well. Brady, you signed up this year. and Paige, same, right? Okay. So last year, of course, COVID was canceled. I was really looking forward to coming out here. I'm guessing you too, Mark. But you did come out here, right?
I signed up not for the ride, but for the run, and then I came out here because we were actually currently at my friend's place, who lives here in Stillwater. So I actually came out and did the run, though incredibly socially distant, with my friend out here actually in Stillwater.
So you got to experience like the roads and the town, but not
the big crowds, not the vibe, not the incomparable energy of Bobby Wintle and District's bicycles, and just what the whole experience there downtown is. I did not get any of that,
which was something else. I'm still like kind of high from that whole experience yesterday. But yeah, so last year didn't happen. This year did. Brady signed up because you knew I was coming out. And then I knew that Mark was going to be there, and then Paige, you came out and crushed it too. Or crushed it, and the rest of us rode. But yeah, it's been Mid-South. Of course, is just one of those bucket list events that I've wanted to experience, and I've only heard the best things about it. So I was really excited to come out here and then know that there'd be a few familiar faces. Paige, I'm curious, like, this is your second season racing gravel. What had you heard about Mid-South? And like, I've been kind of following this for a few years, but now that I'm gonna say you're kind of a newbie in the gravel world. So what did you expect, and what were you just coming out for a race, or have you heard much about this in the past?
Yeah, I hadn't really heard a ton other than like the epic pictures from, would that have been 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, the mud, yeah.
Yeah, the Mud South year. And so by the time I had heard about Mid-South and how epic of an event it was, and just how interesting and different the gravel roads here are compared to anywhere else, the race had already kind of been closed up, and then that's when I realized I was already going to be out this way in Kansas for team camp, and so thankfully was still able to enter, but I really hadn't done a lot of research, to be honest, because in my mind, if it was going to be rainy, I kind of had a cop out, because I was like, I don't want to ruin, my bike, and it was just in my mind. After being on the road for almost 2 weeks, I was like, all right, I'm not going to experience that. I'll just live vicariously through everyone else. But it's hard to be in gravel and not hear about Mid-South, just because of how epic the event is and how different the roads are. And I mean, like you guys said, Bobby getting a hug after. I mean, who doesn't want a hug after a gravel race? So, yeah.
Yeah. So, and then Brady, you were looking for an early season race. Is that kind of how it went down?
I mean, I need motivation, so I need something that kind of scares me out of bed in the morning to train. And I like to follow you around and do what you're doing. So when I found out you were doing this, if I have probably a dozen bucket list events, and this is one of them. And so when I found out you were doing it, I thought, yep, if I can get in the lottery, then I'm all in. And, it's not easy early March to train in Philadelphia, but we did it and we made it work.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's lots of things we can say about the day and the race and the event, but I'm trying to think of how we can narrow this down and not go too long or whatever. But what are some takeaways that we each have for the day? And maybe we can separate it into two things: the race itself and then the event. Can I put you on the spot?
I have my whole story in connection to kind of Mid-South, and I can go from there.
Yeah, I think, Mark, you should definitely, tell us your story, because you didn't only ride yesterday. Mm-hmm. You're the doubler. The one
I am now known as the doubler.
So talk about your whole thing.
So my story, I did a little promotional, self-promotional, video. When I got close into town, because the bike that I ride is a Salsa Journeyman, and back when Mid-South used to be Land Run, it was in 2018, they introduced it at this race. And so we all know there's can be barriers to entry into the sport. And so for me to be able to get access to $1,000 like drop bar, gravel, bike packing bike was just exactly what I wanted, what I needed at the time. So I ended up riding, I have that, and that's what I ride daily and I use for everything. And then I had done a marathon in 2018 and I got super confident, thought I could do a double. Actually signed up for Land Run double in 2019, but I never came out.
Really quick, just explain exactly what the double is.
And the double is, good point. The double is where on Friday you do a 50K ultra marathon, and then you rest up, and then the next morning you do the 100-mile gravel ride.
Good. Yeah.
Thanks for clarifying that there, Trevor. So I signed up for that, never had the fitness, never the time to be able to do it, and so then I just donated my registration and just kept on going with my life. Came out here last year, brought back the Mid-South beers to Dirty 30 last year is where I kind of met you and Sheldon.
Correct.
And the great connection there. So this is a whole full circle adventure for you and I.
Yeah, definitely.
But then I decided to sign up for the double here at Mid-South because they decided to partner with, I'm kind of like with Brady over there. I need that carrot in front of me to kind of motivate me to do something. And so it's tough to do winter training. And so I've always signed up for something in March that's going to just motivate me to keep active and do something. And so when Gravel Worlds and Mid-South decided to do the double kind of collaboration between independent races, that just spoke to my soul. And so I have got crazier plans coming up in August. Doing the double at Gravel Worlds is going to be a whole nother experience, but I was able to complete my first Mid-South double here this weekend.
Yeah, not only complete, but you crushed it. I mean, you did a great job, for sure.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
That's kind of my unique story and connection to it.
So tell me, because the conditions yesterday were much different than the conditions for your run. So how are the roads compared to Saturday for you on Friday?
So the snow dropped on Thursday into Friday. So when we started the race, I think it was still actually coming down. It was, they don't have the salt trucks around here, so it was compacted slush in town on the main roads till you got to the actual dirt roads. But there was 3 to 4 inches of snow. Probably, I couldn't tell you the ambient temperature, but it was probably 25, 30 degrees. But it was exactly what I would have been training in this whole winter in Michigan, if not colder in Michigan leading up to this. So honestly, I felt right at home. I'd say around 11, about 12, around lunchtime, middle, maybe not lunchtime for us on the running, but for most people, middle of the day, it started to, the road started to really clear up, and then you just saw the red dirt that is famous for here in this part of Oklahoma. And then if you were running through the middle slushy sections there, you were getting that mud caked on the bottom of your shoes. So I ended up choosing lines wrong, right where the snow met the road. Just hoping some of that water there from the snow would just keep the mud off my shoes, and it didn't cake up that bad. But the latter part of it, once it warmed up to into the 40s, it was starting to cake on pretty bad.
And then by the time we raced yesterday, it was completely dry.
Yeah, no. Once the ride conditions, it was completely dry by that next morning because they even delayed it till 9 o'clock. Just for the cold temps there on Saturday, and I don't think that affected any of the ride experience at all. Honestly, I think it was probably I don't know what the final times for the elite people were, but it was probably some pretty fast times.
So I was thinking a lot about this while you were running and before because we were right next to each other for the ride at the start, and I've done some marathons. I've never done an ultra marathon, but after every marathon I've ran, I'm destroyed the next day. So I can't imagine going from a marathon to 100 miles, not only a bike ride, but 100 miles of a really tough course.
You are 100% in the right state of mind. Those are questions you should be asking.
But I'm saying that to say I cannot believe how hard that must have been, and it's just I'm super impressed by your I guess performance, or like the fact that you just got it done, that you even got to the line to start it, and then you pushed ahead and finished it like a great, like both times were amazing, and you weren't out there all day on the bike. You had a great finish, and it's pretty incredible.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So I feel like your weekend, you accomplished double what we did. But
Well, I mean, I am the doubler, so.
yeah, you're now the doubler. So that definitely adds into your experience of the weekend. What about the rest? What about the two of you? We didn't run. None of us ran, but I think the experience of the ride itself, at least for me, was certainly memorable, certainly a great experience. Paige, tell us a little bit about your day. We saw each other kind of at the beginning, and then I said bye, and you went off and had an incredible finish. This was a pretty big field. There are a lot of it's stacked, yeah. And you came in 5th place. Mm-hmm. Incredible finish. How did the race happen for you? Does that make sense?
Yeah. So this was my season opener, and like the rest of us training in Michigan, hard to know where our fitness is at this time of year. So I really went into this race with not really any specific goal other than to test new equipment for the year, and
you're
riding for ABIS Pro Gravel this year. Yep. So just wanted to test equipment and then really just see where my fitness was at, and not really go into the race with too much pressure, just because it was a totally stacked pro women's field. And so I was like, I could be 10th place and be happy with that. It just was hard to know. But for gravel, and yesterday was a perfect example. It's like you never give up, because you never know what's going to happen. And for me, the day consisted of a lot of chasing, unfortunately. And I didn't really have a great position in the men's pack. I mean, you saw me, and I was kind of in the back. I need to do a better job going more forward and being more aggressive in that front pack. And so when we got to that muddy section, I had kind of crashed a little bit. To promise, it was very graceful. I was not going very fast in the mud. But then I spent the next 30 minutes chasing back to Holly and Emily, who at that time we were 5th, 6th, and 7th place, I believe. And then we were with a group, probably about 8 of us working together. And then in the feed zone area, I unfortunately lost some time. There was an attack right after that. So then I spent another probably 8 to 10 miles chasing again. So that's kind of how the day went for me. But I just kept telling myself, never give up and keep fighting, because on a gravel race, that's just what can happen. And at the end of the day, you just never know who's going to get a mechanical. So you just have to keep showing up every hour of the race. But Holly and I ended up working with another guy, and the 3 of us just traded poles. And I was really thankful that she was willing to work. And both of us were really, just wanting to not let anyone else catch up to us. So it was pretty brutal the last 20 miles into the headwind. I'm sure a lot of us can relate to that. Made for a long slog of a last 90 minutes. But and then basically there was kind of a sprint between 4th, 5th, and 6th place. Holly got me at the line for 4th, and I was 5th, and then Emily was 6th. So overall, pretty solid day, and just happy to be out there and have another chance to learn some more tactical skills and ride in different conditions. And I will say, it was so nice to see other Michiganders out there. My heart was really full. When you rode up next to me, we talked for a little bit, and there was a couple of the Bissell guys that were out there. Yeah. And it was it's nice when I've been on the road for almost 2 weeks, and just to kind of feel a little sense of home in the middle of a race that is stressful. There was a few crashes that we had to avoid, and so it just kind of makes you feel a little bit more comfortable in those scenarios. So I had appreciated that for sure. So
yeah, that's one. I didn't realize it was a sprint at the end. I didn't realize you all were that close. coming into Stillwater was kind of sketchy a little bit, but that's cool. I didn't realize that. And whatever. Okay. But yeah, the wind, I think, is like of course it was going to be windy because I feel like it's like the plains or whatever. It's Oklahoma and it's very exposed. There's no trees, but the wind just destroyed me towards I was in a couple groups and then I wasn't in any group and I had to deal with a lot of wind by myself. But yeah, it was, I think for probably most people that rode yesterday, the wind is probably something that they'll take away for this, especially since it was the last half of the, after you've already been riding for like 50 miles and then you turn into the wind. It was pretty rough. Brady, you had an incredible day. You had a smart, you rode smart at the beginning and you stayed up in the lead group for half the race, basically. And that was kind of your goal, was it not? I mean, of course the goal is to do as best as you can, I guess, but no, my goal is just to hang in the back.
my goal is to win, and I got halfway there. No. No, you're right. My goal was to prove to myself that I could ride at the front for even part of the race. Mm-hmm. And, right, I mean, I don't have the hours to train like a lot of these people do, but I can do the intensity, and I wanted to prove to myself that I could ride fast for half a race or 60% of a race, and I just wanted to know how far could I go, right? And we were joking last night that I was a very mediocre Cat 1 pack handler, but I'm a pretty good gravel pack handler. It's just very different. So I was able to move quite easily and quickly to the front and not miss out on that. And so I was able to get through the first 50 before the wheels fell off, for sure. And then it became a challenge, for sure, but that was my goal. My goal was to basically ride until I cracked, get off my bike, take a gel, regroup, and then carry on. And that headwind, I was at 50 miles, and I thought, all right, I think I can finish this averaging 20 miles an hour. And so I got to 60 miles, and I said, all right, I think I have 2 hours to go. And then we hit that headwind, and I was at mile 70, and I thought, now I have 2 hours to go. And then I was at mile 80, going up a slight incline at 10 miles an hour, and I thought, I might have 2 hours to go still. Oh, my God.
I had that same thought.
It was brutal. Just doing that math in my head, it was like...
I just watched I watched the average speed just tick down.
Exactly.
Down.
Right. But I need these races. I mean, working in a bike shop every day, it feels like I wouldn't need that external motivation, but this is what saves me and keeps me going back at home, because you see that energy. And especially we went to go buy beers at the bar last night, and Colin Strickland walks up next to me to order beers at 11 o'clock at night. And we're chatting, and I buy him and Pete Stettin beers, and they're like, oh, you can't leave because the last rider's going to finish in 20 minutes, and we're going to hang out and watch. And, that just doesn't happen in other disciplines, right? It just is amazing to me that these people stay. And this is, what makes this amazing. And so that's, the end of that really capitalized the whole trip for me.
That's a perfect segue, because takeaways, the course was fun, the race was great, and it kicked my butt, but it's the entire thing, and it's Bobby Wintle at the beginning, right before the race starting, and then he's just there cheering on every single finisher and giving hugs out. And then it's all of us hanging out at the finish until midnight, basically, and watching the last rider come in. And that to me, that was the most fun of the whole day. Just we had a table that basically we saw the finish from the table, and we got a bunch of food and beers, and we're just hanging out there and having a great time, and watching Bobby do his thing, and like all these, like you said, like other riders that just were hanging out too and wanted to be a part of that vibe. And that's really what it is. It's like the gravel vibe, it's a kind of a joke, but that it definitely felt like that. And that's what I wanted to experience. And that's what I was hoping this would be like. And it delivered in every way. It's something that I would recommend. Like if you haven't been a part of it, like come to take time off of work and travel to Oklahoma. I promise you won't be disappointed. I mean, it's a cool thing. And
yeah, I'll be honest, like coworkers of mine are like, you're going to Oklahoma?
yeah. It's kind of a funny thing. And Brady, I think you said, Kathleen, your wife, was like, you're crazy. Don't you know this? Like, what are you doing? But I was thinking, like, we're driving from Michigan to here, and in the worst snowstorm ever. And I'm like, I got to get to St. Louis tonight because I have a shorter trip tomorrow to get to Oklahoma. And I'm like, the roads are awful and there's wrecks everywhere. And I'm like, what am I doing just to get to Oklahoma and ride my bike? But that's what we do, right? Like, we just pick things, and we need to be motivated. Like, we need these things to motivate us. And I think sometimes you just need to find something to kick your butt and just, yeah, I don't know. And then also be motivated from these events to just go on. And I thought it is interesting, like, Mark, we were talking, it's like a year in the making. Mm-hmm. So in a way, it's like the end of something, but then it's the first race of the season. Mm-hmm. So it's like the beginning of the year, So I don't know. It comes at a cool time because you need to be motivated through winter to get there. And but yeah. Anyways, I really, to me, like, I think what's going to stand out in my head is standing at the beginning and just like with all the big people and seeing the big Mid-South banner, and then us on the other side of that banner after we finished, just hanging out and cheering on everyone coming through. That was, it was just a great day. It really was. And I feel like a lot has been said about Bobby Wintle and like different things. People have talked to him. He's been on the podcast last year, but it's not fake. I don't think anyone ever said thinks he's fake, but he's not. He's so authentic, and I just don't know how he keeps going. He was a constant energy, 100% from 8 a.m. to near midnight.
And I went on a recovery ride that he led this morning at 9 a.m. after daylight savings time.
Yeah. And did he seem...
his voice was very much gone, but it was still very much the man that we know.
We were talking, like, we're like, do you think he's drinking beer? I don't think like he could go all day and be drinking beer. And I don't know, but I'm pretty sure he was drinking beer. But that was in itself, I think, was motivating, just to see him so he's gathering inspiration from everyone, and then in turn dishing it out himself, and it was really neat to see that.
Yeah, because I had a small moment before the 50K run on Friday where he was just meeting all of us runners before we started, and he had said he hadn't seen the whole video, but he saw the video that I posted there, and he said that his stoke went to the moon after seeing that. And so that's just one of, for me, it was just a bunch of small moments, this weekend that just my heart is like, yes, it's a statement we've said of like, your heart is full, but like mine is just overflowing from the amount of just community. Like we just come here and it's one thing to talk about it, it's another just to feel it. But that was like one moment of my stoke was to the moon, just hearing somebody just recognizing you and appreciating like, your story and that you're here for that. But you also got to realize this is 2 years of emotion, like 2 years that we haven't had Mid-South. And there is just all of that emotion coming out here in this past like whole weekend.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point that, of course, yeah, it hasn't gone on for 2 years. I was thinking a lot about like it's easy. I think we were talking about this maybe yesterday or something, but Michigan has so many gravel opportunities, and I think it's easy. You could probably just stay in Michigan and ride, and like it's perfectly fine and whatever. And some of the best gravel opportunities too. But I think it's really important to experience like other things, like go out and come to Mid-South or come to a whatever, just a different, like like the community and experience the different roads and different course, like just
and people
like just go out and do it. And I think that's what makes the gravel scene so great, is that it is diverse and it's everywhere, and there's I don't know, I recommend people going like find one of these races and just go experience it, because then you're stoked to come back. And in 2 weeks, Barry-Roubaix, like I'm so stoked to just go and I don't know. I mean, like I was getting real Barry-Roubaix vibes from downtown Stillwater. Is very similar, I think, to downtown Hastings. And but yeah, I don't know. It was what I needed early in the season. I needed to go out, and Brady, I was much like you. I was like, how long can I stay in the front pack until I crack? And I cracked a lot earlier than you did. but it was just, I don't know. It was something that I needed this time of year, and to just really motivate me for the rest of the year. Anything else before we wrap this up?
I do want to give a shout out to Mark. So he did his 50K run, and then he came back downtown, was hanging around, and then he volunteered at the check-in for the cyclist, and then he did the ride the next day. So not only did he do the double, but he volunteered in between. I mean, that's just awesome. So just want to give him a shout out for that. Yeah,
I totally agree. I think if there's anyone that worked the hardest to squeeze out as much of the experience as possible, you did. I mean, you got here, you did the run, you volunteered after that to check in the cyclists, you did the ride, you got up this morning and did the recovery ride with Bobby, and you did the brunch.
The full experience, and I also just trying to be as authentic to myself as I am.
Sure.
But even when I was checking people in, up comes walking Pete Stetina, which I just got into like racing last year. And a lot of these names and a lot of these people I never knew anything about, from like, Strickland to Stetina to Bobby to all this stuff. But now I know all these names, and I got to thank him. I didn't get a chance to see him at Barry last year, but I got a chance to talk to him there briefly and say, hey, thanks for coming on out. And we got to chat back and forth a little bit. It's like, I would have never expected to have that kind of experience. But like, yeah, I probably squeezed every little thing out of this weekend as far as an opportunity. And I don't know how I'm going to top this in a long time.
I mean, I think that if there was ever like a promotional soundbite, that would be a pretty good promotion for Mid-South. But well, great job, Mark.
Thank you.
Brady, hell of a ride. Paige, you destroyed it or killed it, or what in a positive way. you had a great race. Thank you for your patience as I tried to figure out the technology issues here, and for sharing about your experience. And we'll have to do it again. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trevor.
The Dirty Chain Podcast is a Michigan Mid-Pack media production. in partnership with KOM Cycling, the source for your bike accessories and necessities. Connect with us on Instagram and Facebook at Dirty Chain Podcast. Email dirtychainpodcast@gmail.com. If you are enjoying the podcast, please leave us a rating and review on whatever platform you use to listen. Audio editing and original music by myself, Trevor Gibney. A huge thank you to Bobby Wintle and everyone at Mid-South Gravel for an incredible weekend. And thank you all for listening to the Dirty Chain Podcast. And as always, keep your chain clean, but get your chain dirty. We will see you in the mid-pack.
You are